3, 2, 1. What is up, dude?
How's it going?
Thanks for coming out, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So we got camera guy Kev, focus. So, dude, you do a lot of different things. You're a photographer. You play a bass. You are a board member of NØTHING MAG.TV.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that really caught my eye to, I'm like, damn, this guy is cool. We go to the same gigs, and I had no fucking clue.
Oh, yeah.
So you were posting these videos and videography badass work. And I'm like, hey, like the last one that you posted was Straight from the Grave, and we were there at the in Anaheim.
Chain Reaction.
Chain Reaction,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have amazing work. The first thing that I seen that was really awesome was the video that you did for 3LH.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That was a fun one to work on.
Can you go to that, Amber?
Sure.
Yeah, pull it up on the screen because Kevin does amazing work when it comes to live events, live bands. Look at that shit, dude. Oh my God. Give me some sound. Yeah, there we go. This was Alex's part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sorry, I'm over here jamming to my own video.
Look at that, dude. Yeah, so it was this one. You also posted one with the McCharmlys.
Oh, yeah.
That was the other. So it was just like back to back. Give me some vocal on. Yes. Yeah. And if you guys haven't heard after this podcast episode, go to the podcast episode where we talk to Angie, the front woman of the McCharmlys. Look at that, dude. Oh yeah, look at comment. First one right there. Go Billy Deli. Hearts. Another Alex bar.
Yeah, it was actually 3LH and McCharmlys were the same night.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I went in there. I was like, okay. I usually would pick like 2 or 3 of the night just because I don't want to get overloaded. Mm-hmm. Unless the bands are like, it's like a stack show and I want to do everybody. But I was like, I had heard the McCharmlys because we actually tried to book them for Nothing Fest, which is my nonprofit Nothing Mag. We do a music festival. So I heard the name and I was like, I want to check these guys out. Like someone was trying to reach out to them to book them. And I just got really into the music. I'm like, oh, damn, they're playing with 3LH. And I've known 3LH for years now. We booked them for Nothing Fest years ago. I've known Rafa for just years. Like I've just kind of always ran into him. So I was like, you know what? That's a good stack show to go to. And I brought 2 of my friends and I'm like, let's go and just, get right to it.
There you go, dude. That's the way to do it, man. And one last one. He has the 3 of these pinned. Can you go from straight from the grave, please? Yeah. Fabian's a beast, bro.
Oh my God, yes.
He is a fucking beast.
When I grow up, I want to be just like him. My voice is even cracking talking about it.
So the first time we seen these guys were in TJ.
Oh, wow.
In Tijuana at the... Tijuana. Jesus. She always corrects me. Tijuana Maniac with the Mentor Go. Shit was crazy.
I bet. That sounds
Yeah,
good
they
stuff.
were one of the first bands on the Friday night, and it was cool. I mean, to see psychobilly at least now, to see that type of psychobilly now it's great. It's refreshing.
Yeah, definitely. So I have mutual friends with Fabian. My friend, shout out to her, Drastic91 on Instagram. She's one of my closest friends. She runs a nonprofit for animals. And she's like, I call her my Swiss Army knife because she's a model, a singer, a photographer, a videographer. Like I said, she has her own nonprofit. She's a CEO and founder. And I remember she told me about them, and I was like, oh, okay, like that band sounds kind of cool, and I like the look of it. And then I happened to go to a show where my friends were playing with them, and I was like, oh, cool, like I'll go check out my friends and finally check out this band. And yeah, I went and I was like, oh my god, these guys rip, like what, damn, like because I'm used to psychobilly, but it's more like Tiger Army and like Necromantics, Cotton
Gotcha.
Cats, and I was like, the voice is like, it sounds more like hardcore a little bit,
Yeah.
So I was like, I like this a lot. Like it's just, I mean, I'm not the biggest psychobilly fan, but like I don't have extended knowledge. But I was like, dude, this is like, these guys rip. What the hell? And this was like a random like Friday night in Santa Ana. There was only like 40 people there. I'm like, what's going on here? So and then I ended up meeting Fabian later on because I went to Not Scary Farm with my friend Drastic, and she's like, Papa, and I'm like, who are you calling Papa right now? Like, and she's like, no, Papa right now. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I know that guy. And I ended up meeting. He was a cool guy. And then so I saw that night they were playing with Three Bad Jacks, which is another one of my favorite rockabilly bands. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out there, and those are the two bands I'm gonna work on tonight. Just I took photos of Three Bad Jacks because I just wanted to have a good time. And then for Straight from the Grave, I'm like, I'm gonna film these guys and make like something epic. Like I'm gonna work for this one.
So how do you begin to choose like what band you're gonna work on?
Honestly, I'll see a flyer, and then I'll go, that looks like a good show. And the way we are here in Southern California, there's like 3 good shows happening every week.
It's hard, dude.
Yeah,
it's hard to be fans of music or anything in entertainment.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have here, but
right.
Like, so I'll look at the flyers and be like, okay, what's coming up this weekend? Okay, it's either this show, and I want to see A, B, and C. This show, I want to see A and C. This show, I want to see this. And then I'll go, okay, well, this is the show I want to go to. And I'll bring some friends or whatever. I always try to show people music and stuff. Like all my friends like, hey, you're gonna like this. You like ska? Come check out this psychobilly band. You like, metal? Come check out this punk band. And so I bring my friends in, and then I'll go, okay. So for me, like when I do videos, it's a little bit more involved. Like I have to sit there and actually film, and like hold the pose and really work on it throughout the set. Whereas photography, I can be a lot more casual with it. So I could just kind of go like, oh, just click, that's cool. Maybe let me see what it looks like over here. Click. And so I'll say, okay, you know what? I want to enjoy myself for this band. So I'll just do photography. And that's nothing to say about my photography because people tell me I'm a really good photographer. And I was actually doing photography before videos. And then, I'll say like that band, I need to make a video of them. Like it's just, I'll just make the decision right then and there. Sometimes I do both for the same band. I've done that like at CY Fest. I just did that last weekend. It was like a 2-day street punk fest. It was like the CY Fest and the pre-CY. And we were editing videos and photos as the show was happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, dude.
Yeah. Like we're the only guys that can get out content during the show. Like, like we're a media team. So it's kind of just like okay, how much do I want to sit back and enjoy the set as a music lover? And how much do I want to involve like my camera work too?
Dude, how hard is that? Like you're a big fan of music, as I can tell, and to be doing something like filming and taking photos, like are you enjoying it as much as like you would without a camera in your hand?
I think so. I think actually it's kind of gotten to the point where when I go to shows without a camera, I feel like Ricky Bobby. Like I'm like, what do I do with my hands? Like, right. For instance, I just went to go see Dogstar last Monday, which if you guys don't know about it, Keanu Reeves is the bass player in that band.
Dude, I just found this out not too long ago.
Yeah. My friends were like, dude, we have an extra ticket. Do you want to go? I'm like, hell yeah. They're like, yeah, it's sold out. Like no one can buy these tickets. My brother gave them to me. I'm like, dude, hell yeah, let's go. Like, I just want to go see Keanu. I don't know the band, but like,
yeah,
I'm standing 20 feet away from Keanu Reeves.
Damn.
So I'm like, hell yeah, I want to go. And I was over there. I'm like, I should take pictures. I wish I had a media pass. Like, so I just pulled out my phone real quick and just was like, my iPhone, just taking pictures all night. And I got like about 3 good ones. And I was like, cool. Like, this is awesome. But I felt like literally like I had a beer in my hand and I was just like, I'm going to chug this thing so I can start taking pictures. Like, yeah. So it's almost like I literally feel like Ricky Bobby. Like I don't know what to do with my hands.
Right. Yeah, because you're so used to being involved in
Yeah.
the moment and capturing
Yeah.
the moment.
And then
right?
I always tell people too, I have the most cinematic view of the night because I'm always like, with under my lens, like at the best angle, the best lighting as I can get. Whereas some people just kind of hang out in the back and just, oh yeah, this is fun, or get in the pit. Like I'm watching the video before it's made, pretty much.
Oh, okay. So that was gonna be my next question. Like when you walk into the room and you see the group on stage, are you already seeing? Do you already have like an output of what you want this video to look like? Is that what happens with you in your creative process?
Kind of. So what I usually start off with is like a checklist. So I go, okay, I need.
We're not giving any of your
Yeah.
secrets
No,
away
no.
right now. Okay.
No.
I just gotta
Yeah.
make sure.
No. So I start with a checklist. I'm like, okay, I need 1 or 2 decent clips of each member, right? I need the close up. I need to get in the back of the room and film the entire thing. Whether it's 10 people or 100 people. Like I have to show what's going on because I feel like part of it is telling the story too. But I'm also not trying to expose anybody like, oh, like there's 2 people here to see your band and I'm going to show everybody that, It's just more like, yeah, like these are the people that are here. This is what's going on in the crowd. And then
Don't go to my comedy shows, dude, because that'll happen.
It's all right. My shows, like my friends are the only ones that show up, and my singer gets a little jealous sometimes.
We need support.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. Like people would cheer for me, and our band is David Stu and the Curse. Like it's like an Alice Cooper thing, and my friends will be like, Kevin, and I'm like, guys, shut up. It's not about me right now. But no, it's fun, and so I have my checklist, and I kind of get that done, and after that, I'm kind of just like, what looks cool? Like I have a bag full of lenses with me, so I'm like, okay, you know what? What if I throw on a fisheye, and let's get up close and let's get like right in some of their grill. Like sometimes I feel like I'm annoying them, but like let me get right in your grill and just film this weird angle, or like I have a vintage lens that does like weird flare effects and stuff. So it's like I get the checklist out of the way, and then it's just creative after that. It's just what can I do?
Start to have fun with it after.
Yeah.
Do you feel like how long have you been doing this for?
So photography, I learned how to take photos like in 2014. That's when I bought my first camera. But show photography, I started 2019. No, 18. End of 2018. And then I started doing videos a couple years after that. Like I want to say late 2019. Just because like Instagram was pushing towards like reels, and I think it was like at the time it was IGTV or something. I forgot what they called it.
I remember that. Yeah,
So
that's what
like,
it was called.
Yeah, so I would grab video, but I would just at the time just post a clip of like a song. Now I'm into more like the edited videos and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's especially now like social media has gone a lot. It's evolution. Like how do I say it? There's been an evolution.
Yeah.
Right in social media. It's not just the still picture anymore.
Yeah.
With some words on it and like a great caption and a couple of hashtags.
Yeah.
It has become a whole science.
Yeah.
And it's freaking wild. And what's next? Do you know what's next after the reels?
Ooh,
these edited videos?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like photos and videos will stick around, but I do feel like just the way we're posting them is different. Like, back then I used to post a carousel post. So it'd be like 10 photos.
Oh, yeah.
You swipe through. Now I'm posting them as reels because I can put the horizontals, the verticals, and I can fit like 25, 30 pictures.
Yeah.
In one post versus back then I was limited to 10 and they all have to be the same way. So I feel like maybe whatever the next platform is, I mean, I thought it was going to be Threads, but it's not doing that well.
It's not?
As far as I've seen, like I post on there, I'll get like 2 likes, and I have
Really?
like the same amount of followers as Instagram. So I thought it was like Threads. I'm like, oh, cool, we can go back to posting like the one individual shot, and that just didn't do it for me. So I'm feeling like whatever the next big social media is, which I feel like right now it's either Instagram or TikTok. Like I feel like it's those two, and it's all about like the vertical video right now.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe the next social media will be like live streaming or something.
That's true. Are you on what do they call it now? X. It's no longer called Twitter. It's called X. I seen that. I was telling Amber about this the other day. I was going through all my apps and I was like, what the fuck is X?
Yeah.
Like, what the is this some weird like porn app that I downloaded and I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
I clicked on it and it was like all the Twitter feeds.
Yeah, I feel like I missed the era of Twitter.
Yeah.
X. I just didn't care for it at the time, especially because it was all like political stuff and it was
Right.
all like canceling this person and canceling that person. And, oh, someone said a snarky remark. And I was like, my stuff is visual. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of just skipped that era. So I stayed on Instagram. Before that, it was Facebook. And before that, I wasn't even doing this. So, yeah. So it was like just Facebook, just to post like a couple pictures. Then it was Instagram when that took over. And then, you know, I'm trying to do TikTok too, but I'm trying to use TikTok as like a different format just because they're so alike. I'm trying to use TikTok for like artistics kind of stuff. Like,
TikTok is so, it's like you're still doing like a quote reel, but it's also so different, right? Like they're even though it's all social media, it's like you need to know pretty much a little bit of each one, and they're each the same but also very different. It's almost exhausting.
And I'll tell you right now, I'm not a good dancer, so TikTok never worked for me.
Yeah, I mean it's different for everybody. Like my Instagram is totally different from Kevin's Instagram I guess algorithm, right? Like the algorithms are different. Like my TikTok algorithm could be maybe similar to your Instagram algorithm. It's weird. And then you throw in the shorts from YouTube, which are totally different.
Yeah.
Like I think usually like right now for the podcast, the shorts are like weird. Like just I get more on I posted this the other day on my personal about like the comments of the last reel. If you are intrigued by what I'm talking about right now, go to the Mind Buzz on Instagram and check. I think it's like the third video. The comments were just freaking off the wall, and it was all negative.
Yeah,
100% all negative. And I'm like, geez, is this what the feed is like on YouTube with shorts? But I mean, YouTube comments have been like that,
historic.
Yeah. So the same thing happened with TikTok, not with that specific video or reel or short, but with something else. It's just you got to find what the balance is between like your algorithm and what you're posting.
Oh yeah.
Like it's exhausting, dude.
Yeah.
You have no idea. It's fucking exhausting.
Oh yeah. That's why I just stick to Instagram right now. I'm like, I know this is like the science I know.
Right.
Yeah, like it's weird because even like with my photography and videography, like I like to cover different things too besides shows. So like I'll do a video on, or like I went to actually take pictures at Volcom Skate Park for like Go Skate Day. It was like the first day of summer and they opened it to the public. I was like, oh, this is cool. I took pictures of like a bunch of skaters and stuff. And the video just didn't do well. And I was like, wait, like I'm in the punk rock scene. Where's all the skaters? Like,
yeah.
It was not, the algorithm just didn't want it to hit or something, or I'm not sure.
Gotcha. And thinking back, Amber. So I remember that reel that I sent you. Me and her like text message. I'm like, hey, post this one on TikTok. Hey, post this because we have another podcast on YouTube on our way, which is back, ladies and gentlemen. So go check that out on YouTube exclusively. I posted a reel and I didn't even think why it wasn't doing so good, but I posted it and I totally forgot it's about like murder and
man.
About something that's very like not good to post about, and it was like about parole and people in prison and shit. I'm like, no wonder this didn't do good on YouTube. I thought it would hit. Maybe we're gonna try it on TikTok tonight. So.
Yeah,
but it's also, I feel like TikTok is such a like Russian roulette.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Honestly, like
Yeah.
Like I know that there's this whole science behind now, like the algorithm and buzzwords and what are they called? Like what else do they call it? I'm blanking out. But like, you know, words that bring people to your like your page, right? And I feel like before it was, because like I've said this before on the podcast, but like my family, we have a business, right? And we started in 2016, and it was kind of like that height of like the Instagram, right? And all our followers we got were organic, and all the follows and the likes and everything was organic. And we didn't know what the hell we were doing and why it was happening. You know, it was just happening. Like people were liking or commenting, and then they would send it over and over. And when the algorithm changed, it like fucked everybody up. Small businesses and everything. And now it's like, how do you find people? How do you find businesses? How do they just pop up on your feed? Because they're not, you know? It's like the other day I had a day where I was getting like feeds from 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, why did
on Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah. Like, why am I not seeing this?
You ever get that?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
It's like a post from like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'll get a flyer. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Wait, that passed. Why am I saying that now? Yeah.
And then with TikTok, it's like, because I've had it happen where I'm like, all right, I'm old, so I'm like, I don't know how to fucking use TikTok, but I'm gonna try it. I like to read, so I did, you know, a couple of ones where I'm just like, it's like a carousel kind of thing, like what you said. I put a song on, and they hit like, you know, 100K, you know, 35,000, things like that. I'm like, what the heck did I do? And then I try to do it again, and then it was like 400. Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell, like. So I feel like they're both very, like, there's a science to all of this now, right?
Oh, yeah. And, like, I even have friends that they all have different rules for TikTok. They're like, oh, like, I posted this one, it did great. So I'm going to go low effort on the next 3. And then the one after that would be big effort because that's the one that's going to hit. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, okay. Like, if that works for you,
like,
you know?
times, you know, like post Monday through Friday at this time. And then this and this and that. And I'm like, I feel like if those really worked, everyone's videos would go viral.
They'd be doing it, right? I mean, I tried Loomly. Loomly is like a social media management type of. Yeah. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. There's like other ones like Hootsuite and all that. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's similar to those, and like on the dashboard, it will tell you post it. You know, this time here's some inspirations to, you know, to gauge some posts to. And I tried it for about a month. And there was just like internal problems that there were internal problems like with the dashboard and the application itself. So I kind of just like, what I wanted to use it for was scheduled posts, because I have all these rules. I have all this content that I need to schedule. I can't just wait for that time, put an alarm on, wait for that time and post it. And it's just not very time, you know.
Yeah.
If you're strapped for time when you're doing something like this, you're marketing for yourself.
Yeah.
You want the easiest things made possible.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
And especially when you're busy, you have 10 other things that you need to be doing at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Right? So I used this, but the universe was hearing me, or maybe it was Instagram overhearing me on my telephono or something. But I think a week after I started using the Loomly scheduled app, a week later, Instagram came up with scheduling your content, and I was like, I don't need Loomly anymore.
Yeah.
And then I had Facebook connected, I had Instagram, I had TikTok, I had Twitter, I had all those. I think I had those 4. And then I think it was another app that I used. But anyways, I scratched that all out. I don't even go on Twitter anymore. I mean, there's things that you can do with Facebook and Instagram to post it exactly at the same time. So
yeah,
I think Instagram catches up with that. Like it catches up with itself and its users.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right? I mean, they heard me somehow.
Yeah.
Schedule. You need to have some sort of scheduling stuff on there.
Yeah, I think everybody's FBI agents were like, all right, Instagram, they're all saying you need this.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
They're listening in. They're listening into the podcast. But it's so wild. Like Instagram, social media, it's a weird time to be a creator right now. I always say that, like to make anything.
I feel like it is a weird time, but it's also one of the best times.
Yes.
Because I've known guys that have been filming since the 80s.
Whoa.
Like I've worked,
Really?
I've worked alongside like just to shout out a few people like my friend Clint Pinkston, or another photographer I run into all the time. His name is Albert Lacano. He goes by Jerry's Kid 1, I think, on Instagram. Those guys have like Clint. He has like 8mm tapes of like Gwen Stefani's first show.
Whoa.
And he's like, yeah, I just sat on it. Like, no, I didn't know how to distribute it back then. And then like Albert, he's got film reels of like Black Flag. Jeez. Or, like bands that were around in the 80s. He's like, yeah, I've been doing this since then. I had a little like point and shoot, and now I'm still doing this like 30 years later. What is it, 40 years? Oh my God, I'm old. 40 years later, So it's like, yeah, like I feel like where I joined in at the right time, because when I started, it was like 2014, like I said. I think we were either in the middle of the transition, or it was like right after when Instagram started coming up. So it was like perfect. It was like, oh, like I have a place to put these. Like people can see these. Whereas I feel like, like the guys I've talked about, like they just took the photos and they just sat in their basement, or like they would do art galleries and try to get, 10, 15 people out there to go see it. Whereas, I post a reel and I get 1,000 views.
Yeah.
Like it's a really weird time, but I feel like it's the best time, especially because like, just today I went to Five Below real quick before coming in here. I like to go in there and just, shop around.
Guilty pleasures.
Yeah. And I went in there and they had like a whole section of like gaming microphones, streamer lights, like tripods for your phone to record yourself. They had like a light and a microphone built in. And like, it's so easy to just start doing anything right now.
Yeah.
If you want to be a photographer, you have a phone, and your camera is in your phone. Like my first photography teacher in college, he literally told me, he's like, yeah, my camera has a phone attached to it. He's like, honestly, like I used to carry my camera around with me everywhere, and now I just pull it out of my pocket. Like,
right.
it's unless I'm doing a job, like I can take photos whenever I want. He's like, I can go live right now and get 20, 25 people to watch me. So I feel like it's like it's definitely a weird time, but probably the best time. I think, to be doing this.
Yeah, to be a content creator, to be a podcaster, to make film, to do anything, because with technology, it's becoming more what's the word? Like it's
accessible.
Accessible, yeah. And like even with podcasting, dude, like there's so many gadgets. You can start a podcast with your phone. Like there's apps out there. Oh, dude. There was this one. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, but or anybody at home.
I'm just excited. I'm like, whoa, what is it?
So there's this new. I gotta get sponsored by all these different Loomly and well, not Loomly because I canned you guys a couple months ago, but there's this app called Opus Clip, and if you're a podcaster and you're listening to this, or any type of content creator, Opus Clip, you drop in, say, an hour and a half long podcast, and it cuts reels for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it captions them for you. It not only it does it listens to your hour long conversation, right?
Yeah.
It cuts it up for you. It gives you the captions. It does, even if you're on a one like camera. Like it cuts the reels for you from one person talking to the other person talking.
Oh, wow.
It's freaking wild. And it scans like all your captions and it creates like, okay, this 30-second bit of this conversation is, and they grade it to from like a 0 to 100. It shows like a 0 to 100 like viral type of scoring. So on most videos that I have, like there's like a 97 viral score, an 82 viral score. So it breaks it up like that, and it's wild, because this was another thing that I was thinking about, because making reels
they're in your brain.
They're challenging.
Oh yeah.
They're hard. Yeah. Especially this, like going through like an hour and a half of content, finding the right thing. Yeah. Like it's time consuming, and people don't see that. They see just the 15-second reel, right?
Yeah, even for me, like I'll film a 45-minute set and you watch 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you understand the pain.
Yeah.
But these guys were inside my brain, and they're not just Opus Clip, but there's tons of other different applications that are doing this now. And it's just with AI it's getting crazy, dude. It is getting wild, and I love it. Like, I was shocked the whole day. I was stunned.
Yeah.
The whole day when I used this thing.
Yeah.
It's freaking wild.
Like, I was talking with another guy I work with. He's an older guy too. John Gilhooly. He's my favorite photographer. Like, I say that about a lot of people, but this guy, if you've ever picked up an issue of the OC Weekly and it had anyone of notoriety, whether it's Kobe Bryant, Kat Von D, etc., he shot that cover. Wow. And I met him in film school because he's like, yeah, like, photos are kind of dying. I need to learn like this other part of this trade and learn video. And I met him my first semester in film school, and I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, so he was complaining about AI. He was like, oh, like, pretty soon we're gonna be out of a job. We're working a wedding. He's like, we're gonna be out of a job pretty soon. Someone's gonna just carry an iPhone, and AI is gonna edit it all for them and make them the best wedding video ever. And I'm like, that's good, because I want more tools. I want tools. I want to be able to
good.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to just go film as best as I can, and then I have the tools to like get me halfway there, and then I can just be creative about it and tweak it. Like,
that's true.
Instead of scanning 45 minutes worth of footage to get the best minute, I could just say like, all right, cool. Like, if it's an AI that can just like label the shots for me, that would make it so much easier. Like, oh, this has a shot of the singer, doing like he jumped into the crowd and jumped into the mosh pit. Like, oh, that's perfect, Or if it can even like add, like, I think someone told me that one of the video editors, you can upload a track and it can like equalize out like just the drums of it, and it'll actually cut your clips to the beat of the drum.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, because that's what I do with my videos. I cut it to the song. He's like, yeah, like you can literally just say, I want all my clips, these clips I picked, to cut between each other to the drums, and it'll do it in like 5 minutes.
Jeez, what is this app called?
I think it's one of the editors. I think it's DaVinci. I think
DaVinci?
he said, yeah, DaVinci Resolve. It's a video editing
Ooh,
software.
I think I heard something on that. Can you go to? I want to show Kevin all the way to the right. The two arrows that are right there. No, down right there. Those go all the way down to where it says Opus Clip. Yes, and then just scroll down. Continue it. Is it gonna? Put in Gil. Yeah, right there. Choose that one. I don't think it's gonna. Is it open? No. Because I think I started. I used it with the management. Scroll down. No, because it gives you an hour and 30. But maybe there's a demo video on there that you can.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's a demo. So go ahead. He could better explain this to you.
Is it from him?
No.
Like some evil dictator of a country could send their intelligence agency to go steal it and gain control. It just becomes a very unstable situation. I think if you've got any incredibly powerful AI.
So this is. So it makes all those cuts.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen like a lot of people use this. I just didn't know this was it.
Develop a will of its own right off the bat. I think it's more.
Yeah, you can tell by the different.
Someone.
So now, like,
because you would do it right, but you had to do all of this.
Yeah, I did everything. I cut it. I mean, there's still other things that I would like to see, and hopefully the FBI are listening to me so they can implement this for Opus Clip. Is the motion. What is it called? It's called motion, like when the camera follows.
It's like a pan and slide, I think they call it.
Yeah. So I want to hear that. I want to see something like that, because that's what I like. It makes the videos more. I don't know. I like the feel of the motion censoring thing.
Yeah.
But make it happen.
Yeah. Seriously, so that's what I was telling my buddy. Like, just to circle back around to that, is like, I want more tools.
Yeah.
Like, you think about like, back in the day, people were chipping away at rocks with hammer or like sticks and rocks. Now we have pile drivers, like they're just tools. It's a way to get to the end product faster.
Exactly.
So that's where I see a lot of that going. It's like, yeah, like if I wish I can, because I'll get home from a show 1 or 2 in the morning if it's in LA, because I'm from Orange County. So I'll like go film the show, get home, I'm tired as heck, and I'll like I'll literally turn my computer on, back up my card, and go to sleep. And I wake up like, all right, let's go and start editing. Like I wish I could just say like, scan the clips for me, find the coolest shots, and like compile them in a list and tell me what they are.
Yes.
So then I just wake up and I'm like, oh, cool, there they are. Boom, 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 boom. Let me look around and see if there's anything cool I like. Oh, that's a cool shot. I missed it, but whatever, that works. And then just say like, sync it to the beat, like I mentioned earlier, like DaVinci. Sync it, and then be like, oh, cool. Now we're like already halfway there, and it took maybe minutes, versus it would take me an hour and a half to do all that myself.
Right. And Instagram is doing this now with a new technology that like when you go in to create reels, like they have the transitions already.
Oh, yeah.
The music when you put in there, it every time like it switches like a different image or video, it goes along with the music. It's getting crazy. It's getting wild. I'm excited, yet I'm kind of scared at the same time to see like what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Like what other what are the possibilities with content?
Oh,
it's getting crazy out there, bro.
It definitely is.
To kind of like, I don't want to like backtrack, but I always think of so when you were saying like your friend that was saying like about like now they're gonna take over, or they're gonna do stuff like that. Not too long ago, sometime this year, we had because we've had like media asked to come, right? And hey, can we come and film some stuff for TV, things like that. So I'm used to like a whole camera crew, right? They bring lights, you have your camera guy, you have your anchor, you have like everything, right?
Yeah.
So it was for Thrillist. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
So Thrillist, I mean, they're pretty known. Like they're a pretty known thing, right? And she was like, all right, so I'm gonna come from New York, and we're gonna shoot a 1.5-minute video, and we want to kind of interview you, this and that. I'm like, all right, cool. We set up the time, everything, and then she messages me and she's like, I'm here, and I'm like looking through our cameras because it's in our office, and I'm like, where are they? Like, where's the rest of the crew? Like, Yeah. And then I'm like, all right, maybe they're coming. So I go out there, and it's literally like the host, and she's wearing a GoPro on her head.
Oh, wow.
She had a GoPro on her head, and then she had her producer, and the producer had an iPhone. And literally like a light box. So they brought a light box to do like product shots.
Oh, man.
And I was like, this is going to be a mess. Like, like that was like in my head because I had never like really seen that. Like for me, that's just like content that you create for like Instagram, or maybe like something like, like something I would do that I don't understand video and all that stuff, right? I just use my camera and I hope for the best. So I was like, shit. And I'm like, all right. And long and behold, I seen it and I'm like, this is not bad. Like this came out really good. Like, and it's just like crazy. And then also the one for Channel 1, Gil, she literally mic'd me up with like Amazon mics. And then she had her cell phone and she like was like talking to me like interview wise. And then she just had the camera in front of my face. And I'm like, this is going on like cable TV.
Yeah. No, I mean, I believe it. Like I've literally one time I forgot to pack a mic and I was like, here, what we're going to do is we're going to put voice memos and just use your phone like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it sounded better than some of my mics.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like that was just in my pocket. I just had it. We're good to go. That's why I still feel like it's a really good time to be a creator because it's just accessible.
Exactly.
Our cameras now are this small, and even my camera's considered big.
Really?
Like I've seen people at shows with smaller cameras, and back in the day it was a big old box like over your shoulder with like a VHS tape in it, and now you can literally, I've seen people go to shows with literally just their phone and they'll film everything and the show's over, the reel's already up.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I'm like, they beat me. I got to step up my game. Like my video's got to be super polished now because these guys just did what I did before the show was over.
Right. It's just getting faster and faster and faster. But like you said, we like instead of like if you can't beat them, join them, right?
Yeah.
With at least with AI, and I mean it's not us versus AI or creators versus AI. It's we have to use these things as a tool to get to what you said, to our goal a little bit faster
Yeah.
with a little bit of help, and it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I see nothing wrong with using tools.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it is. Like, to cut down a tree, they had to sit there and whack it with an axe all day, and now we have chainsaws.
Absolutely.
It accomplishes the same goal, just a lot faster, and you can do more of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mentioned I can only sometimes would pick 2 or 3 bands per night to shoot. With some better tools, I could do everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Like opening band to the end of the night, just film everything. And, with tools, I can get everything out like next day.
Right. Yeah, you can you let AI do its thing and you can focus on something else to help better your product.
Like,
right?
yeah, it basically, I feel like it'll do the technical for me so that I can focus on the creative. Like I can say, okay, cool, it's already done. Now let me have some fun with it. Now let me go ahead and say, what if I switch this for this? What if I do this? What if I do that? Now, I'm not necessarily doing like labor. Now it's just, let's have fun with it. And that's kind of what I'm excited for, is just to be able to focus on the creativity of it now.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's where you need to be creative. Always talk about the editor brain and your creative brain. You have to give space to your creative brain to do its magic.
Oh yeah,
and to let it out.
Like when I edit, I've told people this before. Like, it's a state of mind. Like, I will go to the liquor store, pick up my favorite snacks, multiple energy drinks. I'll go home. I'll light a candle if I want. Like, set the mood, because I'm gonna sit there for hours working on different things. Like, if it's pictures, if I'm gonna go through 1,000 pictures, that takes me like 2-3 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because sometimes I will shoot 1,000 if it's like 5 bands.
And I seen you. I seen you at the last show with Straight from the Grave, dude. You were everywhere.
Yeah.
You were on the corner stage. You were in the back. You were up at front. Another question I was gonna ask you was, like, aside from like how long you've been doing this, like there's this weird type of like I don't want to say embarrassment, but at least for me, I don't want to. I'll speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I get kind of like weirded out to go in the front and take pictures of my favorite band, even though people do that all the time. Like, I get weirded out. Do you ever get that weird feeling?
That's where I started. So my first shows that I shot, I would only shoot the band that I talked to beforehand.
Okay.
Like, I would be like, yeah, like I'm just gonna go shoot them, and then camera gets away because I don't want to like stress anybody out. Especially because I now that I'm on the other side of it, I can think back and be like, well, they're up there performing and they're nervous as heck, and I'm over here, literally zooming in. Like,
right.
It's like, like I felt subconscious. I'm like, I don't want to throw you off your game. But then over time, especially because when I started doing photography, it was smaller shows. Like when you get into concert photography, it's just like bands. You start at the dive bars. You start at the, Taco Tuesdays. $3 Modelos, and then you work your way up into the, oh, hey, like I have a portfolio. Can I come shoot at this show? And you start getting press passes and stuff. So when I was doing those smaller shows with those smaller bands, they were like the happiest in the world because they usually can't afford to hire a photographer for a show. Like, those bands will maybe make $27 for 5 people. And to hire a photographer might be at least $100, So they're like, wow, we have media. Like, this is amazing. So when I started seeing that shift where it was like, yeah, I took a couple pictures of you guys, here you go, but I didn't want to throw you off your game. I just took 5. They're like, dude, this is the greatest gift you've given us. And then like I made friends and they would invite me back. And I remember with this one time I was shooting my friend's band, and some guy went over and shot their whole set. And then he went up to them after and said, hey, I have all these pictures of you guys. You give me $200 right now, you can have them. And they looked and like, you see that guy over there? He's like, yeah. He's like, his pictures are better. And he did it for free. And he's like, he's our buddy. We're covered. You can delete him.
Damn.
And it was like, oh, okay. Which I'm definitely for. Make the money you can. But I know that when you are starting, you don't have it. So when I was starting to shoot these bands, they were so appreciative of it. And it was like a mutual, like symbiotic relationship. I was building my portfolio and they had promotional materials. And then as I started getting in, like I got into my first big venue show. I didn't even I was kind of a noob when it came to this band. It was Gorilla Biscuits. It was my first big show. Where like I needed a press pass, and I went to go shoot, and they gave me one rule: do not go on stage. By the end of the night, the entire crowd was on stage because it was like a hardcore show. People were mosh pitting on stage, and I followed that rule. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather not have as good shots, but follow the rules, so that way they're like, oh, you got on stage. Like, wait, you know, we're not gonna welcome you back. And they actually like commended me because they're like, our photographer that we have here was in the back of the room, zooming in and cropping in their photos. So how are you up front? And I'm like, you told me not to go on stage. And they're like, yeah, but you're like in the general pit area. And I'm like, yeah, I thought that was the point. They're like, I'm like, yeah, I lost a shoe for most of this show. My sock is full of beer, but I'm here. And they're like, that's awesome. Like, do you want to come back?
Nice.
Yeah. And so like I started building my way up that way, and it got to the point where my mindset changed. It's like, yeah, we're symbiotic. You're like the bigger bands, maybe they don't need me as much, but it's like, hey, they got like I recently did the Addicts at the Belasco. It was their first show in 3 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's funny because I shot the show before that, like their last show before the pandemic and their first show back. And when I hit them up, I was like, hey man, you know, I'd love to get a photo pass for this. You know, if you can spare one, I would love to be there. I'll do everything for free. You guys can have all the photos, blah, 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 blah. And Monkey was like, the week of the show was like, text this number. I hit him up months beforehand. And I'm like, he's like, just text this number and let them know who you are. So I text this number and he goes, hey, can you send me your portfolio? Because every photographer in LA is trying to get into this and we have to vet people. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I sent my Instagram and he goes, wait, you shot my band before. I'm like, yeah, that was me. He's like, you're in, dude. I'm like, that's it, really? He's like, we know your work. We love it and you were cool with us. So yeah, you're in. And I'm like, awesome. Like, you know, and they're like, yeah, like we're just starting out and that helped us a lot. So like, we're going to, you know, help you out now. And I got in there and I actually got to meet Monkey at the end of the show. And he was like, it's great to finally meet you, man. Like, wow, like this is cool. And, you know, like I was shocked that he was a fan of mine. Like, he was like, your photos are great, man. Like, this is awesome. And I'm like, Monkey knows who I am, you know? And he was like all fried. Makeup was coming off. He's like, good show, man. I'm like, yeah, good show to you too. And, yeah, so at the end of the day, it becomes a symbiotic relationship. Like, the more I shoot bands, the higher my portfolio gets, the bigger bands I can get to. And with them, it's like the smaller bands, the more media they get, the bigger they get. So sometimes it's almost like, you know, like local bands, you can like anchor with them and you build each other up.
Right.
Like my good friends, Deviated State, they were already pretty big when I met them. But like they started inviting me out to shows. They're like, dude, we don't make a lot, but we'll pay you what we can. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't have a rate for you guys. Just tip me. It's fine. Like, you know, if you can't afford anything, I won't take it, you know? And I filmed some clips for them that have gone viral on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah. Like their shows have like blown up because of some of my clips I've gotten for them. And now they invite me back. And now they're like, they played with XL a month ago. And they're like, yeah, dude, like the promoter just found out about us through TikTok. And then I got to go in, ask them for a press pass. They got me in and I got to shoot XL.
I think working together like that, like a media and a band, or it just goes hand in hand because you each create, you know, content for each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you're all going, you know, getting bigger and better at doing things.
Yeah. So I feel like
we got to work together at, you know, reaching our goal. I mean, no one person or one group gets to wherever their goal is by themselves.
Definitely.
And I think that's the key right there. That's a little key that most people, you know, don't think about when they're first starting out on doing something. It feels like you need to do this all on your own, and when you reach a certain point, it's just going to be you at the top. No, it's not, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So to circle back, because I know I went on a tangent. once I discovered that we're basically in this together, like we're cohabitating this space, I lost that feeling of like, oh, I'm throwing you off your game. Now it's like, let's work together. Like, you know, I feel like that meme where it's, I think it was like Arnold Schwarzenegger and someone else, like the two buff
Oh
fists.
yeah.
Like, I feel like that's, you know, that's me and the bands now.
Yeah.
And like, I've had like my audience on Instagram cross over with other bands, and then they're like, oh, dude, like people that didn't know about us know us now because they saw us on your page, and fans of that band follow me now because they like my photography. So it's literally just like a cohabitating circle, like symbiotic relationship.
I love hearing, I love hearing people going to the podcast or listening to a podcast, and now they become fans of whoever I interview or we talk to. One that always comes up is Angie from the McCharmlys.
Oh yeah,
like we were talking before we started recording, is people in the music genre, it's always, oh, we checked out your interview with Angie from the McCharmlys.
yeah,
Or even Sugar Mill Slim, like the last musician we had on, a great performer, by the way. We're just talking it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I love the McCharmlys, and Angie, she's just the greatest," and just stuff like that. I have a friend named Frank Blanco, and he's in comedy, and he does open mics. And he wrote me the other day. He was like, dude, I was at an open mic the other night, and there was these people from the audience that came up to me and said, dude, we loved your interview on the Mind Buzz. And he was like flabbergasted, because, I mean, to hear that, and for me to hear that, was awesome. Like it startled me a little bit, because I was like, oh shit, people are actually listening.
yeah.
You know, it's cool. But to hear that from somebody is just, it's awesome. And you know that it's reaching people now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially like with Frank and the comedy scene. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome to hear that.
Oh yeah, and I think that's probably my favorite part of all this. It's the community.
Yes.
At the end of the day, like I've even like gone to shows and people recognize me, and I'm like, do you know who I am? And they're like, yeah, we love your photography, or we love your videos, or we love you playing, like the videos you post of playing bass. And I'm like, you watch those? And they're like, yeah, like of course you have 1,000 views. You don't think people are gonna watch us? I'm like, I know, but it just it feels disconnected, like
right.
You know? And that's the thing. I think that's my favorite part of all this. It's just like I get to meet people.
Yeah.
Whether it's musicians, whether it's fans, whether it's managers, podcasters now, other photographers, other videographers, anybody. It's just like I feel like it opened a world, and I'm like just meeting the coolest people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possible. Like this podcast. I was like saying before, I've never been on a podcast before. But I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like I get to meet podcasters. Where before I would have been like, yeah, like I've heard of Joe Rogan. You know, like that's about it. But now I'm like, this is great. Like because we happen to both be at the same show.
Yeah.
Now here we are working together.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how the conversation went with Amber when we went to the Three Bad Jack show at Chain Reaction.
Yeah.
I was telling her, I was like, oh look, it's Kevin, it's the camera guy.
Yeah.
And she was like, who? I was like, yeah, he was at the 3LH. And I was like, oh, he did the video for the McCharmlys and 3LH. And I was just, I always say, I love musicians, but like I'm getting into the world of media and photography and videos, and just watching people in their natural habitat is just, it's just, I was seeing, like I was saying earlier, I seen you moving around, taking shots. I'm like, he's gotta have a vision. Like there's a vision that he's trying to fit right now. There's something going on in that brain of his.
Yeah.
At that exact moment, while I'm drinking a beer.
Yeah.
While I'm hanging out.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, it's fun. Like all this stuff is just, it's accessible now.
Yeah.
Right? Like People can do it. If you really want to do something, you will do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like I was just telling someone the other day, I'm like, there's no version of me that's not creating. There's no version of, let's say you take away my camera, I'm still going to be doing something. Like I mentioned, I was at a show and I felt naked. I'm like,
yeah.
What am I need to be doing something right now. This feels awkward. Like, so I feel like no matter what I do, I could lose my arms, I could lose my legs, I could lose my sight. I'll still be making something.
Yeah.
And I feel like because it's so accessible, I feel like everyone can do that now. Like everyone has a creative, as you know.
You think so? You think there's a creative gene in everybody?
I feel like there is,
Yeah.
and maybe it's not necessarily art. It could be anything. Like I can look at like one of my cousins. He's like he knows everything about like everything. Like I'll like say, hey, have you heard of this band called The Who? Like it's like, oh, the Who, like the English band. I'm like, no, the Mongolian one. Like they're Mongolian throat singers. And he's like, oh yeah, dude. Like I've heard of all their albums. I'm like, oh, like I just found out about them because I saw them at a show the other day. And then like he'd be like, hey, so you remember that one scene in Demon Slayer episode? I'm like, I haven't watched that show, dude. I just started it though, but what's it called? So like his creative is like just absorb. He's like, I absorb media all the time. That's like his thing, and I'm like, yeah. Maybe he's not creating necessarily, so maybe it's not the word creativity is not the right thing. But I feel like everyone has that need to do something. I guess I'm having a hard time explaining it, but I feel like everyone has like something that they do that they like have to do. Like there's, like I said, for me, like if I'm not shooting, I'm probably at home working on my jackets or trying to sketch something or watching a movie and like analyzing it. I feel like someone could be like the best chef in the world and they're like trying, oh, you know what? I'm going to try this ingredient. I'm going to try this, or, and maybe they're not expressing it. Maybe they're not a chef in a kitchen somewhere, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I think that's just human nature. That's humans. We're a weird primate. We're weird animals. I think we always need to be doing something on whether it's a physical capacity, whether it's a cerebral capacity. We always need to be doing something. And I feel that that's where some depression and some anxiety comes from, is because you're not living to your full potential.
Exactly. Yes.
100%. I heard that from like a psychology book like not too long ago. And once I heard that, I was like, that is it. That's because when I'm not doing something creative, or I'm not podcasting, or I'm not scheduling something to, if I'm not working towards a goal, I feel like dog shit, dude.
Oh yeah.
I do 100%. The last break that I took from doing this, I stayed in bed. I didn't want to move. I think it was the holidays, and I just wanted to stay in my room and eat THC gummies all day.
Yeah.
It was on Christmas Day. I ordered pizza, and I was just feeling like total dog shit. But once I got back, once I knew that piece of my life was missing, I immediately went to this thing full throttle. I was like, I can't let that happen again.
Yeah.
So that proved that, that theory of us humans, we need to be doing something on a creative capacity, or just working towards a goal in general, even no matter how minor the progress is, you're still making progress.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but I've lived.
Go on the tangent. Okay. This is what this is for, dude. This is what the podcasts are for.
Yeah.
They're for tangents. They're for conversation. They're for learning stuff.
Yeah. Well,
they're for sharing.
Yeah. So when I first picked up a camera, the very last semester of high school, we had to do a senior exit project, and I was like, "What's the easiest?" Like they had classes you can take, or you had to find an internship. I'm like, "What's the easiest thing on here I can do?" Like I was like, I didn't really have a plan yet, and at our competing high school, which was like a bus ride away, was the art of TV. And I'm like, that sounds fun. It was either that or like some finance class. And I'm like, math or messing with cameras? No brainer, And I've never touched a camera before in my life besides my phone or whatever.
And when was this?
2014.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
I like timelines.
yeah. So I went to that class and they're like, well, let's see, because this was the second semester. They're like, if you would have started at the beginning of the semester, we'd trust you by now to run the cameras. But you're a new student, so we're going to put you in front of the camera. And that was like the opposite of what I wanted. I was like, self-conscious, unsure teenager with, bad self image. So I was like, oh God, this is like, I should have chosen the finance class. So it left me with that want to work with cameras. And I remember for my project, I took a picture of the camera to put in my slideshow. And that summer, I'm like, you know what? I don't need a class. I'm just going to buy the camera. And I remember I went to work with my dad. He's an electrician. I went and worked construction with him in the summer heat and saved up like, $1,000. And I bought my first Canon Rebel T3i. It was the exact one we used in the class. And then I was like, cool. And my parents were like, why are you buying a camera? That's weird. Like, you're saving up money to buy a camera. Like, that's just kind of a weird thing to like, we've never seen you work with a camera. And I'm like, I know, that's why I want one. But so I was like, well, I'm going to use it for school. And I enrolled in a photography class just to like give myself the justification to do it. And I started, I was the only person in that class that ever got 120%.
Whoa.
Because I aced everything and did all the extra credits. I thought it was fun. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm learning how to use a camera and I'm good at it. And I along with that, I took like a photojournalism class. I aced that class too. So right away, I'm like, this is something I kind of like doing. I'm going to pursue this a little bit. And I burned myself out on it because I was seeing it as a business rather than creativity. So I was like, I'm going to be the quinceañera, weddings, like instead of saying like, I want to take pictures of people or whatever, I was like, whatever makes money, I'm going to do it with my camera. And I ended up burning myself out on it. I was like, I don't like this. Like, this is not a good career path for me. And for 3 or 4 years, my camera sat in its bag collecting dust because I was like, I don't want to create anymore. And then I remember I was like in a really bad depression, which is why it reminded me of this. And my family's like, hey, we want to go to Universal Studios. You want to go? And I was like, I'm not really doing anything with my life. Like, I don't feel good. Like, I don't feel like I don't deserve this. But it's easier to just go and suffer through it than to tell my family, no, I don't want to go. So I forced myself to go, and we jump on the studio tour a lot. And all of a sudden we pass by and they're like, okay, guys, we need everyone to be quiet because they're actively shooting a movie over there. So please keep your voices down. Silence your cell phones if you can. Like, shh. And we're passing by and I just see a film crew just buzzing around working on the back lot. And I'm like, why do I want to jump off this tram and go help? Like, I want to just go be in that mix. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then we pass by and they're like, look, this is the area. Oops. This is the area where they shot Frankenstein. And they showed the movie clip. And I'm like, that was here almost 100 years ago? Like, this is the spot. And I'm like, all of a sudden, like, my depression just reversed. And now I was curious. I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is awesome. And it's actually the reason why, to plug myself, I have Frankenstein as my logo. Because that was the beginning. As soon as that happened, I was like out of school, just working with my dad doing construction. As soon as that happened, I re-enrolled in school and I said, my degree is going to be in film. Until then, I never had a major. I'm like, my major is going to be film. This is what I want to do. And that summer, I took history of film. I aced it and got 110% again. And I'm like, I like this. What the heck? Where did this come from? And then all of a sudden, at the end of that year, it was 2018, my friend joined a band. And he goes, hey, do you want to come and take pictures of us? Would you mind? And throughout that fall, I had my friend act in all my stuff for film school. So I'm like, dude, you help me out. Of course I'm going to be there. I'm like, regardless, I would have been there, but now I'm going to work for you. Like, you help me, I'm going to help you. That was the first show I ever shot. All of a sudden now I'm like, at that point, everything came to a close. 2019 started, and I just took off shooting shows. And that's when all this started. Literally, my life turned around because I figured, like, this is what I want to create. And, you know, here I am now doing it. So it's like, it's funny that you mentioned depression and all that when you're not creating, because that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what flipped my life back around. Because before that, I was just like, oh, you know, just making money and, you know, doing construction. I hated it. I still don't like being active. But, like, I hated construction. I hated doing all that. But it was like, I got to be doing something. So, whatever.
Right.
And I would just go make my money and come home and watch TV.
That doesn't fulfill a creative person.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I was in an office for 6, almost 7 years, and it didn't fulfill me. Yeah, it paid the bills.
Yeah.
I got up there in the company, but it didn't fulfill me.
Yeah.
And I was doing the podcast alongside that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's where I was at my full potential. And that's where I was at my happiest.
Yeah.
Is doing this.
Yeah. So, like, I think that's where I took off, and I'm like, I have purpose again.
Yeah.
My depression faded away. You know, and I just kept writing off of that. That was what, we're 2020. So that was 4 years ago. And I just kept going through it. Just do it. Just do it. Because if I know if I stop, I'm going to slide right back to where I was. And even now I'm like, okay, if I get like a real job, like 9 to 5,
Yeah.
I got to be creating. Because if not, I know what's going to happen. Like, it's going to be, you know, back to just feeling unfulfilled. And then, so I'm like, you know what, 9 to 5 where I'm creating, but I can still get off on time to go hit a show after.
Absolutely.
That's like my life goal right now. You know, because I'm actually looking for a job because being a concert photographer doesn't pay much. So I'm like, you know, like I'm doing that, but I'm like, I got to work in marketing or something. Like, I got to use my creative stuff for
where you're still able to be creative.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll find something.
Yeah.
Man. Especially with your, I mean, your drive to creating and your drive to doing something creative. Like, I'm pretty sure the right thing is gonna, you know, go onto your lap as soon as, you know.
Yeah, and it's like, I've mentioned earlier, like, I feel if I'm not creating, there's no point.
Yeah.
Like, there's no version of me that can't just not create. Like, I'll meet people and I'm like, hey man, so what'd you do over the weekend? I went to Target.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Like, what else did you do? Well, I spent like $300 at Target. I'm like, cool. Like, did you buy like stuff for your house or what? They're like, no, I just had to buy the stuff I needed. And then I went home and binge watched, I don't know, what's the show right now? Wednesday or whatever the big Netflix show is.
What's the big shows going on right now, Amber?
I don't know.
Amber's my go-to for all things viral in the world.
Yeah, well, you get it. Like, and I'm like, when's the last concert you've been to? They're like, 3 years ago, I went to go see Taylor Swift, and it was like $400. I'm like, that's cool, you know. Like, and I'm like, so what do you like to do when you're not working? Sit at home and watch TV.
Yeah, I will. That's not gonna be. I don't want to live that life, Amber. I don't want to. The highlight of, I mean, going to Target is never going to be the highlight of my weekend ever. 100%. It's
you're never going to go into Target because I don't like going inside the stores.
Exactly.
You're going to go to the Target drive up.
There we
I'm
go.
going to get what I need, but
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Before we drop that off and then we go hit a show. That has to be it.
Yeah.
I don't like. I like shopping. I do. I like buying stuff. I like buying stuff for the house, all that. But I don't like to waste my time in the stores.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
AI. There's technology for everything.
Yeah.
And
if
it's
I could
shopping.
be washing the dishes or folding the laundry and doing my grocery shopping,
why not?
Or
smart
on the
people.
Toilet.
Yeah. And that's not to say like, oh, if that's your thing, I'm not discrediting you. I'm just, that's not what's gonna work for me.
Yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely.
Like for me, it's I'm either gonna be at a show, I'm gonna be at some kind of like spooky event because as you can tell, I like horror. I'm gonna be at like some vendor village or something. I'm gonna be hanging out with friends, watching a movie or something. Like that's like I don't see any part of me that's not doing something interesting.
Yeah.
Like I've already told my mom, I'm like, you're not getting grandkids. And she's like,
How did that conversation go?
yeah. She's like, really? I don't get to be a grandma? I'm like, no.
Do you have any siblings?
No.
Oh,
Only
okay.
child. Yeah. So it was a
Gotcha.
big one.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, you're not going to get any grandkids. And she's like, but I want to be a grandma. I'm like, you know how much cool stuff I want to do in my life and how much a kid's going to dampen that? I'm like, I want like I think they call it DINK, dual income, no kids. Like, I want to get married, have a wife, and we just do the coolest things in the world. That's like we have so much extra cash to just throw to do, like, go to shows every weekend, go to, like, right now, like, I feel like Tiger King, like, I'm never going to financially recover from this because I got tickets to go see Danzig in 2 weeks. I got tickets to go see Ghost in a week or so. I got tickets to Darker Waves. I'm like, if I had a kid, I wouldn't afford any of those. And then trying to find a sitter and all that.
Yeah.
So I told my mom this and she's like, well, I'm okay with that.
Well, that's good that she's supportive.
Yeah.
So how do they feel about you and your endeavors and you know, the photography and videography project that you're working on?
My mom is my biggest fan.
Yeah.
She actually sees everything I work on before anyone else.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm always like, I'll call her from the other room, like, hey, can you come here? She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I just need your eyes for 5 minutes. And she's like, okay. And she'll come over and I'm like, what do you think of this? And she'll look at it and just, it's always the same thing. Like, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, I really like what you did with how you had the person do that. I'm like, they just did that. I didn't direct them. And she's like, oh, well, good job anyways, you know? Or like my photos, she'll be like, well, or she'll find like the thing to nitpick that like makes no sense. Like she'll be like, well, I really don't like how you have the bricks in the background. And I'm like, that was the point of shooting here. Like that was like what we wanted to use. She's
it's like it's the guy's background on his podcast,
Yeah.
Mom. I can't move the guy.
Yeah.
He's sitting there
Yeah.
throughout the whole episode. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I can't move him.
Yeah. But like, so she's like the biggest fan of everything I do. And she, like I said, she's like, she pretty much has the VIP access because she'll walk by my room while I'm editing something. And she's like, oh, is that from the show Friday? I'm like, no, it's the show Saturday. And she's like, oh, what about the show Friday? I'm like, that one's already done. She's like, oh, cool. Can't wait to see it. Or like, she'll like literally, I think she only has Instagram to look at my stuff. Like, and she's not even just to look at my stuff because I show her all this stuff, but just to go and be like, look, this is what my son's working on all the time. Like, she's like, she'll go and like, just like, that's the one reason why she has Instagram downloaded is just to show people what I do. And even like my grandmother, like I gave her one of my stickers and she stuck it to her purse and it's like withering away. And I'm like, do you want another one? And she's like, no, it's okay. I like this one. Like it shows that I've had it for a while. And I'm like, it's okay. Like I ordered these by like 1,000. We can put another one over. And she's like, no, that one's there. And literally like she wears that purse like every day.
It helps doing something creative.
Mm-hmm.
It helps having people surrounded with you that are very supportive.
Yeah.
Even though you don't need that necessarily, but it feels good to know that the people around you and the people that you love unconditionally also love what you do unconditionally.
Oh yeah.
And they show some small, I mean, whether it's either small or bigger like thoughts into what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like they're showing support. Like Amber's family is super supportive in whatever she does. And like once they found out that, I do a podcast, they always ask me about it.
Yeah.
Like we went to Sinaloa like a few months ago and all her cousins, that's all that they can talk about every time they see me. They're like, oh, like, how's the podcast doing? Like, I seen you guys on.
Oh, I watch you guys all the time.
I watch you guys all the time.
You make me crack up. Like,
or what's the other one when we went to the Mariscos party? They're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm hanging out with celebrities or something like that. But it's cool. It feels so great.
Yeah.
It feels so great, and I can only imagine how that feels with you and your family and your grandma.
Even just going to a show, like someone who just recognizes who I am, I'm like I think I mentioned this earlier, I'm like, you know who I am?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't it? I still get not weirded out. It doesn't happen to me much, but when it does happen, it's just like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. It feels good. Like you're like, they pay attention,
Right.
you know, or like, I even just today, you know, because I mentioned I'm from Orange County and we're out in the IE right now. I took advantage to go meet someone at their job just because I was like, yeah, like they're a fan of mine, and I'm like, and they're working at a coffee shop I like, so I'm like, oh, okay, like I'll go ahead and swing by. I'm in the area, you know, and I went, and after I left, they're like, sorry if I was a little nervous to talk to you, like I was a little starstruck, and I'm like, really? You're starstruck with me? Like I've been starstruck, but it's like Danzig. Like I met Danzig backstage one time, and I was like,
Whoa.
Mr. Danzig, can I get a picture with you? And he goes, all right, let's do it. Go ahead. You know, but like, I'm just a guy who takes cool pictures and makes videos. Like, you know, I'm not singing, you know, Twister kind of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's definitely like a weird experience. Or like I've had people come and be like, hey, bro, like, you know, like the when you're in high school, you're a rocker, huh, fool? They're like, hey, you're famous, huh, fool? And I'm like, popular maybe? I don't know. And it's like, it's a weird feeling to know that there's people who know about you and pay attention.
Yeah.
And I think that's also like one of the downsides of social media is like, you don't see the other side of people watching your stuff. Which I wish there was a way to like solve that. Like, I know there's likes, there's comments and all that, but like, I'll be honest with you, when I'm on like TikTok, I forget to hit like. Like, I'm just like, oh, cool, that was a cool video. Next one. You know? Or like,
Yeah,
I'll forget to
true.
comment. Like, I'm at that point, I'm like just fried. I'm like about to go to sleep, just like.
So there's probably more. Your reach is probably a lot bigger than you think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, I'll go somewhere and like someone will introduce me. They're like, oh, I follow you. And I'm like, you do? Who are you? You know, like, I'm like, I'll go search for them right away. Like, at CY Fest just this past Friday, there's this band called the Devotchkas. They're an all-female punk band. They're great. They're like amazing. They've played the CY Fest two years in a row, and they haven't played any other shows besides that in like years. And I filmed them last year at CY Fest, and I started following their singer. And this year, she was hanging out just like in the crowd with everybody. And I'm like, I'm so nervous to go talk to her, but I want to do this. And I want to go get a picture of her. And it was just more like starstruck again, you know, like the way I was with Danzig. I'm like, can I get a picture of you guys? I'm doing social media for the festival. And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, wait, what's your name? And I'm like, Kevin. She's like, oh, I follow you. Let's do this. And I'm like, I'm a fan of you. You know me, you know? And she was like, yeah. And she's like, dude, I love how you're on to horror and stuff. I do the same thing.
Nice.
Blah, blah, blah. You know, she's like, I know like the band is just like one thing I do on the side, but like, this is what I really like doing also. And then I was like, dude, I'll be honest with you, I was nervous to come talk to you. And she's like, don't be nervous. Like, come talk to me like anytime you want. Like, it's fine. And I'm like, then I realized like, oh, that's me on the flip side.
Yeah.
When people come talk to me, I'm like, dude, I'm nobody. Come talk to me.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I have to remember that because when I go to shows and I see people that are, you know, they have a big following and I get, I don't know. I get nervous.
Yeah.
Also, like even with the podcast, there's certain people that I talk to that of course, like what we were talking about earlier, like you're nervous at first because it's like a first date, like it's a blind date, right? And we swipe left or what is it on Tinder? Is it left or right?
I don't know.
I'm asking you.
I've never been on.
It's not a trick. I'm not
I've
trying
never
to
been on. I don't know.
But anyways,
It's right.
I'm like, I don't know either because I just like don't even try.
So it's something like that, right? And you're nervous at the beginning, but there's some people that, you know, come into the studio and we talk and just the nervousness never goes away, and you can almost tell like what episodes they are because I'm not conversating like I usually do. But when I'm out at shows, like I'll tell you this one, and I think people know it already. Like I see Trish Toledo. You know who Trish Toledo is?
That name, I know the name. I know names, but I can never place them until someone tells me.
So she's in the new age, like the new age souldies genre.
Oh yes, that's where I know her from. Yes.
And I see her the last time we seen her was at the McCharmlys show when they first launched their LP, when it first went on digital form.
Yeah.
And she was at the show, and Amber was like, just go and talk to her. Go say hi. I'm going to introduce you guys. I was like, no, don't fucking do that. Don't do that. But I get super starstruck.
Oh, yeah.
It happens.
And you wouldn't believe it, but I'm actually an introvert.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Me too.
Like people
I think. I don't know.
My friends, one time, they called me Post Malone from that video. He's like, hell yeah, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Right on, brother. Because they're like, do you do that when people just come say hi to you? Because you don't know what to say, huh? I'm like, stop reading my mind. Like,
it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. It happened to me at Tijuana, at Tijuana Maniac, that show I met.
Yeah.
I was able to sneak in, but Amber and I got like a VIP type of, what would you call it? Like, it was a VIP type of section at the bar, right?
A little bit better seats.
And Sparky was there. Sparky is he's the front man of, he's literally Demented Our Go. And Demented Our Go is one of the founding bands of psychobilly.
Okay.
And they're only able to play which in TJ because it's the closest to the United States, and he necessarily cannot go into the United States because of, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But he's there, he's in that section that we're at, and I'm passing by him because I'm using the restroom, and he's just sitting there alone. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not gonna bug this guy, he's just hanging out. And then I have another voice, this guy's fucked up, bro. He's not gonna know who the fuck you are. Like, he's not gonna even probably remember you.
Yeah.
So just, you're gonna remember that moment for the rest of your life. So I pass by, just, solemnly, and I say, hey, Sparky, I'm a huge fan. Been a fan for more than 15 years. And I shook his hand. And I don't even think the fucker heard me anyways. Yeah. He just shook my hand. And he was just like, he mumbled something.
Yeah.
This guy was stoned out of his mind. He seemed trash, but it was cool. I mean, at least I was able to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, build up the courage to say, hey, I'm a huge fan of what you do, and I've been a big fan. So I think from that, like, little baby steps, dude.
Yeah.
Little baby steps. We met, what was it? Tony from the Rockets at the show that where I seen you at
Such a great band too.
Yeah.
I discovered them for the first time that night.
Did you?
Awesome. Yeah.
I've been super fan since I was 15, dude. Like, all these bands that are coming back and playing shows.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic because 15 years old, I wasn't able to go to the shows because I was always grounded, or I wasn't able to go because of money situation, ride situation. I lived in Whittier. All the shows were happening at the Knitting Factory in Hollywood, and I didn't drive. I was fucking 14, 15 years old. But now that I can drive, I can do wherever the fuck I want now.
Yeah.
Now we go out and we get to see those shows, and it's more intimate now for some reason, because of the scene is a lot smaller than what it was like 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, I keep hearing that too.
And it's just, it's nice. It's kind of nice because it's the fans of the music are still there, right? Yeah. And it's not about fashion. It's not about, like, Amber was giving me shit because I was wearing my Nikes to the Rocket show. When I had my Vans, we just got back from, what were we doing that day? Do you remember?
We went to the Marisco party.
Oh yeah, we went to the Mariscos party, and I was in my chanclas, and I took a picture of my chanclas and I sent it to my friend that was gonna be there. I told her, I was like, hey, do you think they're gonna let me in if I'm wearing chanclas?
Yeah.
But I ended up finding my Nikes, and I looked like a dad, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had a Jimi Hendrix, what was it? Jimi Hendrix, t-shirt, jeans, and
like workout shoes.
Yeah. Workout shoes, because that's all I had in my car. And I mean, just to, like, I wouldn't be called caught dead wearing that at 15 years old. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
no, I need to be psychobilly from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
But I thought about it, I was like, gives a shit. I'm there to see the music,
Yeah.
right? I'm there to shake hands with the band members. And
Yeah.
where I was going with this, I was able to, after the show, we went back there. I was able to get a Rocket shirt, and I just told him, bro, I've been a huge fan, for 15 years, and I'm glad you guys are back. I'm glad you guys are playing. He's like, awesome, dude, because I'm glad. He's like, I'm glad to hear that because we played a lot of our older songs, like
Yeah.
at the beginning of the set, it was cool because I heard that on my iPod.
Yeah.
I heard that on a CD fucking 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So it was cool to hear them live.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I remember that I had a similar situation with Tiger Army. Growing up, my uncle, he loves Stray Cats, Tiger Army, Social Distortion. That was like his thing growing up. And like I remember being a kid and listening, like Outlaw Heart, Rose of the Devil's Garden, blah 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 blah. And then I went to go shoot Ocho Calacas, and they were opening for Tiger Army.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was like, this is like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah, I love Ocho Calacas. They're awesome guys, but this is Tiger Army. Like, I grew up listening to these guys, and then after the show, the bass player got in touch with me. And he's like, dude, we love your photos.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, I love
Oh,
the photos. Any
that's
way I can get a
nice.
copy? I'm like, yeah, of course, take them. I'm like, do what you want with them. Like, you can Photoshop. Don't even credit me. You can just have them. Like, this is awesome. And he's like, cool, man. I'm like, and I just threw a little hint out there. I'm like, I would love to do it again. Like, wink, wink. And then he's like, yeah, just let me know next time we're in town. I'm like, is that easy? Like, and I mean, granted,
What's the worst that they could say, dude?
yeah,
Like, what's the worst?
No.
like, yeah, no, or like, oh yeah, maybe, and then they just never tell you,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, but I was just like, dude, like growing up, my entire life, and then there I was in the photo barrier with Nick 13 like 6 feet away from me.
It's surreal.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just surreal, but your choices led you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the different choices that you were able to make led you to that certain point in time. And it sends chills down my spine when I think about that.
Oh yeah,
So besides your photography, you work with a nonprofit?
yeah. So technically I work with two, but one's my client and one I'm part of. I mentioned my friend before, Drastic. She has her nonprofit, which is helping homeless companions. They provide food supplies to animals who are with the unhoused. If people.
Do they have a page on Instagram that
Yeah,
we
it
can
should-
take a look at?
It should just be helping homeless companions. Just at helping homeless companions.
Helping homeless companions.
There you go.
Oh, so this is the second
yeah.
nonprofit that you
Yeah.
work with.
So this is my friend. I do a lot of media for them. It's a great organization because there's plenty of resources like soup kitchen stuff for the the unhoused, but no one ever thinks these people have dogs, they have cats, they have companions, and she raises money to give them the essentials like free grooming, food, treats, leashes.
Where's this based out of?
They're from Orange County.
Orange County?
Yeah. So that's that's actually my video on the left hand right there. Down a little bit.
This
Right
one?
there, yeah. She actually asked me, she's like, can you mention us? I'm like, I was going to. But yeah, so that's they're basically like my client. I always whenever they have events, I just do what I can. And then the other nonprofit that I'm actually a part of is NØTHINGMAG.tv. And that's a
Amber, can you go to that that page?
Oh yeah, the link.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's on his bio on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Got it.
NØTHINGMAG.tv. There we go.
Yeah, and so
Cool.
we're a collective of artists that support artists. We're writers, photographers, videographers who cover the local scene. So we, a lot of our stuff is indie music just because a lot of our members are fans. But we do punk. I do punk rock. There's my photos of addicts right there. And I've shot. That's actually how I know about 3LH. We've worked with them before, and that's where I discovered them and stuff. And yeah, it's literally just artists supporting artists at the end of the day.
I like that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need to support each other, like we were talking about earlier, dude. There's not enough of that,
Yeah.
right? There needs to be.
Yeah. So it's like it's literally like what I was talking about, that symbiotic relationship, like artists supporting artists. You know, like we help the bands get big, and then they get us into the bigger shows. Like that's awesome. And one last thing to point out. Sorry, I cut you off, but we do a festival every year.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Like,
Yeah.
what's that festival about? Tell me about that.
We just book. Basically, everyone on the team books their favorite bands that are in the local scene, and we just do a big festival. We get independent vendors to come in and, sell their stuff, and it's just a party for everybody. And this year we're doing it October 21st, and it's gonna be Halloween themed.
Ooh,
Again. Yeah, we've done a couple Halloween shows, but this one I love it when it's Halloween. Yeah, everyone's in costume and stuff. I'm probably gonna show up as Herman Munster again. It's awesome.
Again?
Yeah, I did it last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did Hot Rod Herman when he had like the leather jacket with the skull. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, and it had to be humid and rainy that day, and it just melted off.
Ooh,
It was cool. It was punk rock Herman.
punk rock Herman.
Yeah.
There we go. So where do you get your love for horror, dude? Like you mentioned it earlier before.
So it's weird because another thing I think really led to me being a videographer is my dad raised me on movies. And the one genre of movies he does not care for are horror movies. And that's the one I fell in love with. Like growing up, because, my parents are separated. I'd see my dad every other weekend. He would pick me up. We'd go immediately to like Blockbuster or Target, or, whatever. And we'd pick up a couple movies. And like, we're going to watch all three of these this weekend. So like this weekend, we're going to watch Saving Private Ryan, Forrest Gump, and you pick one. And I'm like, oh, The Mask. And, I'm like 8 years old. And I'm watching Saving Private Ryan, but he's like, you got to watch these movies. Like, these are the movies you got to watch.
Yeah.
So growing up, my dad showed me every movie you can think of, like all the important ones, right? He loved war movies and history movies. So like, Braveheart, Master and Commander, Platoon, all those like movies. He liked some like sci-fi, like he liked, Predator. He didn't like Alien. It was weird. He liked Predator. I mean, he liked Alien, and he liked Alien versus Predator. No, I'm getting this wrong. He liked Predator. He liked Alien versus Predator, but he hated Alien. He's like, it's too gory. I don't like it. And I'm like, okay.
So Journey Weaver is a tough actress to like. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So my dad was just like, I just don't like gore. I just don't like I don't want to think about that, So I'm like, okay. And then, so I grew up knowing almost every movie except horror. And all my friends, we're Latinos. They watched The Exorcist when they were like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, I remember that scene in The Exorcist. And I'm like, no.
That's Gil.
And then,
I never watched them either.
And my mom, she worked at a video store in the 80s.
We're gonna be best friends, dude.
Yeah. My mom worked at a video store in the 80s. And she's like,
cool.
I've seen all those movies. I don't want to watch them again. So growing up, I never got to watch horror movies because my mom didn't want to watch repeats. My dad didn't like them. When I turned about 12, 13, my friends were like, oh yeah, let's go watch, the reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm like, cool. And they're like, yeah, I remember the first movie when they did this. And I'm like, yeah, yes. I remember all of it. Yes. And, I'd watch it and I'd be scared because I'm like, it's like when you're a little kid scared of horror movies. I never had that experience. So it was like 12, 13. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to freak out. And I don't know. I think just over the years, like I started getting into it. I started watching things. And then when I was in film school, our first class, the introduction to film, they showed us like the original Nosferatu, the original Frankenstein. And I'm like, this is really cool. And like I mentioned, Frankenstein was a part of like my intro into film. So I'm like, this is cool. Like I want to start, like I need to catch up. Like I know everything about every other genre of movie besides horror and most of the sci-fi. So I go in there and I start watching, Halloween. I binge watched the entire franchise of Halloween in a weekend. Because I'm like, I need to catch up. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm over here like acting like I do.
Yeah.
I went and watched all the Nightmare on Elm Street. And I just was like, this is amazing movie, like cinema.
Yeah.
And then what I boil it down to is Quentin Tarantino said, he's like, horror movies, the genre of horror is the only genre where cinema takes precedent over story. He's like, you could have the cheesiest horror movie story ever, and most of them are really cheesy. If you think about like, how dumb someone like the survivors are. And as long as it gets a good scare out of you, you love that movie. Or as long as they have a good villain, you love that movie. So I think that kind of is another thing that kind of inspired me as a videographer, is like, this is really good cinema. And I just like fell in love with all the characters, and I love, you know, everything to do with horror, and even music too. Like one of my favorite bands of all time is the Misfits. And then it led me down the road to Blitzkid, which is another horror punk band. Calabrese, which I'm actually lucky to shoot in 2 weeks. But
oh, that's right.
yeah.
Where are they playing?
They're playing 2 shows. They're playing in LA at Catch One, and then House of Blues in Anaheim.
They're playing with the Returners, right?
Yeah.
Which date is that? Do you know?
I forget exactly.
I want to see the Returners. Yeah. I've seen the Calabrese, but it's been like years since I've seen them.
I've never had a chance to go see them, so I'm like,
they're awesome, dude. They're awesome fucking live. But this was like 10, 15 years ago that I seen them. But I want to see the Returners. The Returners are a really good band too.
I really want to see the Wraith too.
Yeah,
they're like a death rock LA band. They're just coming back. They're amazing. So like it led me down this journey where I was like, I just love this genre, and it's weird because that's the genre I was least exposed to. Like I almost feel like maybe because I didn't get to watch it as a child, I just like overcompensated, and I'm just stuck there. Like I just love horror movies in general. It's like one of my favorite things in this world. Like my favorite bands are like Ghost, Misfits, Blitzkid, Calabrese, and I don't know. It's just I guess I'm spooky basic.
So the horror movies came first before the horror punk bands did.
I started listening to Misfits first, but then the horror movies kicked in, and then I like went.
You're like, oh my god, there's a whole subgenre of punk rock and with horror and blood and guts and scary people with music. That's fucking amazing. Yeah. That's what happened to my brain when I first heard the Misfits, dude.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you. So since we're on the Misfits talk, who's your favorite singer? Is it Glenn or is it Michael? Ooh. Or there's a third guy, right?
Jerry, the bass player.
Gotcha.
So when I first got into Misfits, I liked Michael because that's what I heard. My first songs were like Dig Up Her Bones, American Psycho, Scream.
Yeah, all the famous monsters.
And then because I started with metal before punk, and it was that kind of like a metal sound, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's like melodic metal.
Right.
And then as I started getting older, like I would visit the dancing stuff. I'm like, oh, it sounds too rough. It sounds too like unpolished. Like the recordings are old and kind of like gritty. But I think over time my taste changed to the point where I'm like,
that makes sense.
Danzig is better. And then not to be part of a controversy or anything, but he did come out recently as being a Proud Boy. Michael Graves, not from Danzig. And he was like...
Michael Graves did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
My friend Alan Torres was telling me about that.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, I used to defend you so much to my friends because they're like...
That is right.
Michael Graves sucks. Like, Danzig's better. And I was like, no, he's still good. They're both good, you know? And I was like, okay, this guy... like,
but he flat out came out as a Proud Boy?
Yeah, he posted on his Instagram and everything. So I was like, you know what? As much as I love Saturday Night, as much as I love, you know, Dig Up Her Bones, I'm like, I can't listen to it the same anymore.
I know he was telling me about something like that, but I didn't know it was like flat out, hey, I'm a Proud Boy.
Yeah, it was like the most like heartbreaking, disappointing part to my life.
Jeez.
But luckily 3LH covered Saturday Night, so I got that version.
They do?
Yeah, they have a Saturday Night cover.
Oh, sweet.
And it's actually pretty damn good.
It's fire?
Yeah. It's they took it.
Is that what the kids are saying?
It's lit.
It's lit.
It's lit AF.
Yeah. They took it and made it their own. It was awesome. So at least I got that. But yeah, and then I've met Danzig backstage. Like I said, he's got a personality to him. He's a little gritty, but you know, it's part of the experience. My friends are like, yeah, dude, you met Spooky Elvis. How cool is that? And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Spooky
it was awesome.
Elvis. That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Like Danzig, like I saw Misfits this summer in Arizona, and I was like literally flashing the picture to my friends. I'm like, dude, look, I got a picture with him. Like people around me, they're like, that's great, dude. We're trying to watch this.
We almost seen them in Vegas on New Year's.
Oh, wow.
Almost did. We had the tickets right there in the cart, ready to go, but we just were like, we pulled the plug on it.
Yeah.
But that's definitely on my list for us to go see.
It's a great show. Yeah.
And especially with Danzig, right? Like
Yeah.
he's playing with him.
Yeah, so it's Danzig, Jerry, and Doyle. They have like the 3 originals minus the drummer. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you like books at all? Do you listen to audiobooks?
I'm really trying to get into books. I actually like have been trying to get into like reading like the old Frankenstein book, Dracula, Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft. I just don't have the attention span to sit down and read, unfortunately.
So try an audiobook for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since you are very interested in horror and film,
Yeah.
listen to Women's and what is it? Can you pull it up, Amber?
Chainsaw Women.
Women and Chainsaws.
Oh, okay.
And this book is about film history and why we Americans love horror movies.
Okay.
And I think you would benefit from this book because of your film background and plus your love for horror.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Men, Women, and Chainsaws.
Okay.
There we
Men,
go.
Women, and Chainsaw.
I'm going to learn about myself.
But it also speaks on how
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
where does it say?
Right there. Men, Women, and Gender and Modern Horror.
Film, yeah.
Yeah.
So it says like how women are in horror films, we're always like killed or they're always like having sex or slutty or something to kind of infer that they deserved, right, what happened, the slashing, the things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool book. I mean, it doesn't only just touch on like, our fascination for it. It dives deep into also like male misogyny and like things like that. It's pretty cool actually. Another really good one is I can't think of it on top of my head. I'll look for it right now. But did you know that the creature from the Black Lagoon, it was actually a character made, a woman made the character?
Oh, yeah. I think same with Frankenstein. Yeah. Mary Shelley. Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and her role or her thing got like pushed like to the side, and then there was this guy that came and he was like, I'm the one that did it, and he's the one that got all the credit for it. So there's this book.
Dang.
Okay.
I'll look it up right now. I can't think of it on top of my head. But it's really good too. And it talks about like her life story and kind of how that kind of came in fruition. It's cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely like. I was at Barnes and Noble the other day, and I just was like, I'm gonna look for the horror books.
Yeah.
And I picked up one. It was like the best monsters in film history. And I was just sitting there. I read the entire book in the store, and I was like, well, I want this, but I'll come back for it.
There you go.
I'm like, I read it. I want this on my bookshelf, but
Use it as a library.
yeah,
But honestly, like anything, and I'm an audio nerd,
yeah,
and audiobooks have really changed my life because you can do anything while listening to an audiobook. Like I'm listening to like 3 different audiobooks in this exact moment. Like
yeah.
I'm at the bank and I'm listening to an audio book, and then on the drive back home or on the drive back to the office, I'm listening to a different podcast or a different audiobook. It's amazing. It'll change your life, dude.
Oh, yeah.
But check out this one if you're interested.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm
Tell me what you think. I haven't
Yeah.
finished it. Sorry, Ian. A friend of our Ian Fisher. He's a film director and also he's a film teacher, and he suggested this book because he's another guy that we like to sit down and just talk film and cinema.
Like,
and
so knowledgeable. It's nuts.
yeah, but he suggested this book. We still haven't finished it because of our ADD with audiobooks, but
yeah.
This one's kind of hard to. This one was hard to be in the car in the morning for it to be our morning read. I think is when it was hard.
it should be like our night
Yeah,
time.
like if
read.
when I'm cooking or something like that. Yeah, because we were in the car. And it was like morning, you're tired, you're on your way to work. And then we're thinking of like, okay, what do I have to do today? What do I have to do this and that? And, and then the audiobook's just kind of in the back. But yeah, there's different times and different places and different books for you to read. Another really good one, it's called Mexican Gothic. Have you heard of it?
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's called Mexican Gothic, and it's written by a Mexican author.
I already know it's good then.
Yeah, it's really good. Like all of her books are really good, but I really enjoyed that one. It's like it's not like scary, but it's suspenseful. There's another one called Flesh, and it's also by a Latina author. That one's freaking cool. That one creeped me out.
I think I just found my new obsession.
Yes.
There you go.
I agree. we'll give you a list. We'll give you a whole
please,
list.
yes.
So when you're editing your photos, you can listen to an
Oh
audiobook
yeah,
or something.
definitely. Yeah.
What do you usually do when you're editing? You listening to music?
Yeah, it's either music or I watch a lot of YouTube.
Okay.
Like it's actually pretty much like internet, like podcasts, like news or whatever. Like I like hearing like Weekly Wild News or I literally watch video essays on movies. Like they'll be like, so in American Psycho when he says, he uses this font and blah, blah, blah. Like they'll really break it down. I'm like, I didn't think about that. Like while I'm editing, or even sometimes like if I'm editing like for a specific band, I'll listen to their music to get that vibe.
Ooh.
Like with 3LH, like I put Here's Johnny into the video. So like I was like, okay, we're gonna use like orange lighting and like red rum, stuff like that. And it's like I feel like I have to get into like a state of mind,
Right.
to like really like get deep into it.
Method photography.
Pretty much, yeah.
Method videography.
Yeah.
Right.
Either that or if I'm just slacking off, it's like
There you go.
YouTube. Yeah.
Well, you can also listen to the Mind Buzz now.
Oh yeah,
No.
definitely. Yeah. No, yeah, that's what I was doing. I wish I would have had that when I was editing the McCharmlys video.
There you go. Well, on your next thing
Yeah.
that you're editing.
I'm actually gonna see McCharmlys on the 9th, which
Okay.
is a couple of days from now. Yeah.
On Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
okay.
playing near me, so I'm gonna go check them out.
They're also playing. They're doing a record release. I think on the what was it, the 15th
Yeah.
of September at the Paramount. So
Okay.
we will be there. Amber and I
So
will be
many
there.
events
I know.
in so little time.
Like this
Yeah.
entire month is like I have to pick every weekend. I'm like, okay, it's A or B. A
I want to
or B.
like clone myself,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
one version of myself just
You
stays
go-
home and
Yeah.
relaxes,
There you go.
and then the other version of myself goes out. And
You go
parties.
here,
Yeah.
you go there. I'm gonna put you on an Uber to the Michelada Rumble
Yeah.
this weekend. But there's also some,
Yeah.
and that's another thing too. Like when your repertoire and your list of people is growing,
Yeah.
because we have a lot of creators and a lot of artists and a lot of people that are in bands like on the podcast,
Yeah.
and we want to support each and every one to our best capability. But sometimes now that our list is growing, our community is growing,
Yeah.
it's hard to go to everybody's thing because
yeah.
they're growing as well,
Yeah.
and their shows here on this date, and it conflicts with them. But what I would like to do, I like it when all of them are playing like on one night, which
Yeah.
is that it helps out a lot.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I need you guys to work on that and
Yeah.
and
Oh, your
Yeah.
favorite
collab-
bands
yeah.
come
just
together.
collaborate together. I need all of you
I'll
guys.
throw all
Yeah.
my favorite food trucks there too.
Yeah. No, I mean, for like a quick minute there, pre-COVID, I was actually starting to put together shows just to shoot all the bands I liked at once.
Yeah.
And I did about 2 shows and realized this is too stressful, man. I'd just rather just go to the show and have fun. But yeah, that was my like big ideas. I'm like, I'm gonna book all these bands together so they're all in one place so I can shoot them all like in
There you
one
go.
spot. And yeah, it was just after 2, I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not cut out for this. Nope. Too stressful. Let's just let's just move on. Like
It's
let's just go.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's one thing to go to an event and experience it, but at least now you know how much work goes into
yeah.
doing something like that, right?
Oh yeah, especially like even with our festival for Nothing Mag, like it's like 20 people all hands on deck doing different things. Before, during, and after.
There's a newfound appreciation
Oh yeah.
for what you do, right?
Yeah,
or the
definitely.
place that you go.
Yeah. And like I'm always like like so I see things from the band's point of view. I see things from the promoter's point of view.
Yeah.
I see things from the casual enjoyers, like the attendance point of view, and it's a whole process, but it's like every show there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you know, even like I used to complain like, oh, I have to go from like. There's been times where I've shot 2 shows in one night. Like I'll go shoot.
Whoa.
I'll shoot one band, and then get in my car, go to another venue, get in, go shoot the other band. And I'm just like, oh, it's so much work. But I'm like, nah, that's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, it's easy, but it's also rewarding at the end of the night.
Oh yeah.
Knowing that you first thought that this was an impossible thing to do, but now that you got it accomplished, like it feels great because you accomplished something that you once thought that was like nowhere near to, you know, to be reachable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What is it? Oh, you found it.
I found it.
Ooh, that's what I like. Thank you.
It's called The Lady from the Black Lagoon. It says Hollywood Monsters and the Lost Legacy of Millicent Patrick. So her name is Millicent Patrick. It's
there
really
you go.
good, actually. See?
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to add that to my list.
Add to the list
For sure.
I'm
Kevin.
just gonna open a bookstore, so I'm gonna throw that out there.
We've talked about this on the podcast before. We want to do like a Mind Buzz book club type of thing because we all, Amber and I, we're nerds. Like I'm an audio nerd. I'm a book bum as well. She loves books.
You're a bum.
I'm
Just kidding.
I'm a bum in general.
Just kidding.
But this is something we thought about. So if you guys want to see that, text Amber. Don't text me because she's going to be the manager of... I got too many things on my plate. Just kidding. But Kevin, thanks for coming out.
Yes,
and
thank you for having me.
Doing this. We got to do this again, bro.
Yeah, definitely,
Thanks
dude. I
for
love
coming out,
this.
dude.
Thank you.
So tell us where we can find you and what you got coming up.
All right. So as you guys can see, my Instagram is Camera Guy Kev. You can see all my shenanigans.
With a K?
Yeah. So Camera Guy with a K. And you can see all my shenanigans there, from bass playing to the random things I get into, to portraits, photography, videography, events. My band is going to be playing a couple shows pretty soon. We didn't get to talk about it, but
That's right.
we're playing September 30th. We're playing Nothing Fest. I got us into that. Woo. October 14th. And then I believe that's October 21st. And we're playing a show before that, October 14th. Check out NØTHINGMAG.tv. Check out Helping Homeless Companions. And check out all the cool shit I get into. And check out the Mind Buzz podcast more than anything.
Awesome.
Dang.
So all the links to Kevin's stuff are going to be down in the show description. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment, all that cool stuff. And leave some stars on Spotify. And especially about this podcast episode, you can go on Spotify and tell us what you thought of the podcast on YouTube and also on Spotify. And check out the links.
Definitely.
From Kevin, please, and give him a follow.
Nice.
Do we have anything coming up, Amber, on our side of the world?
Just kidding. Get in your fridge. No,
Hey, that's a big thing, man.
I'm like so devastated. I was okay though.
Yeah.
It's all right.
We're gonna get more details on
The new fridge. Just kidding.
Jeez, I'm trying to plug in
I'm
My
sorry.
Grito's third
Oh yeah.
annual event that they're gonna have at Hello Stranger in downtown LA,
Yes.
and Amber's gonna be there signing autographs. So
Fundraise for any fridge.
we're gonna have our QR code out there. Help us get a new fridge for the studio.
I'm not signing anything. I'm there to enjoy myself.
Sign babies and shake hands.
Kiss babies and shake hands.
I'll be shaking babies and
Signing hands.
signing hands.
You sign my forehead too?
See you guys.
Bye.